Hi there, I'm Dr. Francesca Zampollo, and in this video I want to show you a product. So this brand, this company, Mimica, has created a label for food products, food packaging, that gives information of how the food is doing inside with a tactile stimulus instead of words. Specifically, the label changes its texture when the food inside becomes not good for consumption anymore. Besides this, the label is interesting for us from a food design perspective because it uses a different mean to communicate information. In this case, the information is given in a tactile way. So the label is flat at touch when the food is okay, and it becomes bumpy or rough when the food is expired. What I want to bring your attention on is the fact that the texture flat was chosen for good food, and the texture rough or bumpy was chosen for expired food. I wonder whether this choice has happened by chance, or whether there was some thought going into it, because it could have been the opposite. It could have been rough when the food is okay and flat when the food is expired. So I don't know if they've taken this decision by intuition or if there was actual research behind it, but I think it's an interesting point for us to consider, because as food designers we have to deal with texture very often. Past studies have shown that there are links between what we touch and what we think and feel. For example, holding a warm beverage can act as a buffer against negative emotions, or holding rough objects can make us harsher in our judgment of social interaction, while softer surroundings can make us more generous. The sense of calm and coziness, for example, that comes from stroking the fur of a cat or wrapping yourself in a fleecy blanket. Think about that. We like things that are soft or smooth. We dislike things that are jagged or sharp. Depending on what we are feeling, we experience a mild sense of pleasure or displeasure due to the textures that we get in touch with. Research has shown that these preferences can have measurable effects, influencing our moods and how we relate to others. We've made room for these patterns in our metaphors too. Think about, for example, when you say that your experience was rough, or a sweet moment was warm and fuzzy. So, based on the research that is available, it seems perfectly sensible to use a smooth, a flat texture linked to a concept that is good, food that is still edible, and using a rough or bumpy texture with food that is not good or expired. And so this video is really about giving us an example of sustainable food labeling. We know that food waste is one of the biggest problems that planet Earth is facing, or humanity is facing, really, or creating. A big portion of the food waste, of the food that is wasted daily, is because of expiring dates and labeling. So this company is working toward the goal of reducing food waste, and they have come up with a very interesting solution. But before I end this video, I want to just mention a couple of other things that are very interesting about texture and that I think can be useful for us food designers. Just to think about when we sometimes randomly choose textures for our food, or for the environment, the eating environment or the food environment. In some cases, the link between touch and emotion can take some strange and extreme turns. Imagine being so disgusted by denim, for example, that running a hand over jeans makes you want to puke, or feeling the urge to laugh whenever you touch silk, or getting the creeps whenever you put on a fabric glove. That's the life for people with tactile emotional synesthesia. and mysterious conditions in which seemingly arbitrary textures can be enough to make someone want to cry or laugh. I wanted to mention tactile-emotional synesthesia because it's one type of synesthesia that we don't hear often, and there is also studies, the least, and probably there are also least number of cases reported, but it does happen, and maybe for some people, for a few cases, touching what was it, denim is enough to make you puke, but is most likely for majority of people there is some mild synesthetic experience. Another example is an eating disorder that is called texture eating disorder. Eating by texture is a common type of disordered eating. When it is not indicative of another condition, eating by texture means that an individual has decided to sort his or her food choices by the way that food feels rather than by how it tastes or if it is required for a balanced diet. For example, some disordered eaters may choose only foods that requires chewing with the thought that this action may burn extra calories. Other disordered eaters may choose only foods that squish in their mouth because they prefer that feeling of food, that crunch. While there is nothing inherently wrong with enjoying some texture over others, if this preference leads to eliminating foods required for healthy eating, then it will adversely impact the body and overall health. I wanted to mention this eating disorder because people are beautiful and we are all very different from one another, and I think that for somebody who provides food, we need to be informed because you never know that you might have a restaurant or a food service that only targets texture. I don't like the word disordered eating, but texture eating, let's say, texture preference eating. Or you might want to explore the dynamics of texture preferences. Thank you for watching this video, and as always, have a lovely day and happy food design.